Now, amidst the ongoing tussle between the executive and the judiciary over the process of appointments, a day after the Supreme Court expressed displeasure over the delay in the appointment of judges, the President has approved the elevation of 5 judges to the apex court. The Union Law Minister, Kiren Rijiju, extended his best wishes to these judges on Twitter. The names of these 5 judges have been cleared by the Centre for the Supreme Court amidst a protracted tussle between the executive and the judiciary over the process of appointments.
Today, Centre has cleared all these 5 names for appointment as judges to the apex court. President signed their warrants earlier today, and the Centre has issued notification appointing all these 5 judges as the judges of Supreme Court. So all these 5 judges will be sworn in as judges of the Supreme Court on Monday at around 10:30 a.m. in a ceremony inside Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court Collegium had recommended all these 5 names sometime on December 13th, and Centre sat over these names for almost 2 months, and that's where Supreme Court took note of the delay of clearing these names on judicial side. They issued notice to the Centre government. They asked the Centre government in a clear-cut way, why is there a delay in clearing these names? In fact, Centre wanted an answer from the Centre, and they asked the Attorney General to ensure that he personally intervenes and then get all these 5 names cleared so that appointment can be done at earliest. And in an unusual manner, Supreme Court took this delay on the judicial side, and that's where they brought the Attorney General to the courtroom, and they had asked for a clarification answer from the Attorney General, and that's where the Attorney General told the Supreme Court that he will intervene, and then he will make sure that all these 5 names get cleared as early as possible. So in February first week, Supreme Court had also recommended 2 more names for appointment to the apex court, and that's where Supreme Court came up with a condition saying that the first 5 names that were recommended in the December 2nd week should be cleared first before Centre considering these 2 names, and that resulted in Centre moving fast with the names that were recommended on December 13th, and then today we did see Centre issuing notification for all these 5 judges. So with appointment of these 5 judges, so the strength of the Supreme Court will also increase.
So the government has been pressing for a greater role in the appointment of judges, which has been the domain of the Supreme Court Collegium, or the panel of senior-most judges, since 1993, and the Law Minister, Mr. Rijiju, has been at the forefront of this attack. And even though he tweeted today congratulating these 5 new judges, he also had a fresh comment to make against the Supreme Court. Listen in.
मैंने आज आते हुए देखा कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने वार्निंग दिया है, भाई इस देश का मालिक इस देश के लोग हैं, हम लोग सेवक हैं, सब लोग सेवक हैं, सेवा करने के लिए आए हैं। मालिक कोई है तो जनता है, और हमारा गाइड कोई है तो संविधान हमारा गाइड है। संविधान के मुताबिक जनता की सोच से देश चलेगा, कोई किसी को वार्निंग नहीं दे सकते हैं। हम लोग इस महान देश का एक सेवक के रूप में अपने आप को देखता हूं, वही बहुत बड़ी बात है। हमको मौका दिया है काम करने के लिए।
And in other news, the Union Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs, Nirmala Sitharaman, was questioned about whether the Adani FPO's withdrawal will impact India's image after the Hindenburg report alleged stock manipulation in the Adani group. There have also been questions raised about Indian banks and their exposure to the group. The opposition has been demanding a probe in this matter. The Adani group has called the allegations malicious.
It will be the regulators who will do their job. You've had the Reserve Bank comment on it yesterday. And prior to that, not regulators, but the banks and the LIC have themselves come out to say what their level of exposure is. So the regulators will do their job. And regulators are independent of the government. And many of you all have repeatedly asked this question about RBI's independence and government not getting into it. I'd like to remind you all about that. They are regulators and they are independent, and they are left to themselves to do what is appropriate. And actually, for keeping the market and the markets regulated well in prime condition, the SEBI is the authority, and it has the wherewithal to keep that crime condition intact. So how many times FPOs have not withdrawn from this country, and how many times has the image of India been suffering because of that? And how many times have the FPOs have not come back?
And amid stock fluctuations, SEBI issued a statement on Saturday. The Capital Markets Regulator, Securities and Exchange Board of India, said that it observed unusual price movement in the stocks of a business conglomerate in the past week. And amidst the Adani stocks rout, SEBI now says it's committed to ensuring market integrity and to ensure that the markets continue to have the appropriate structural strength to function in an uninterrupted, transparent and efficient manner, as has been the case so far. That is a quote. SEBI said in a statement on Saturday. The Adani group of companies saw their share prices extend declines on Friday amidst continued selling pressure, as well as concern raised about systematic impacts from the disarray triggered by a US short seller group being highly critical of the group's finances. And news from around the country now. The Sikkim state government has filed a review petition in the Supreme Court for the rectification of the court's observation that Sikkimese Nepalis were people of foreign origin. But high politics has already taken over with the row from the main opposition SDF. They've stated a 2-day bandh. The government has called for an emergency assembly session next week. Ratnadeep Chaudhary reports.
Protests, bandh and some incidents of violence. The Himalayan state of Sikkim is witnessing an uproar over a Supreme Court observation that Sikkimese Nepalis were people of foreign origin. On the 13th of January, while delivering its verdict on the petition filed by the Association of Old Settlers of Sikkim, or AOSS, demanding exemption of income tax for those who had settled in Sikkim before its merger with India on April 26, 1975, the top court had observed that under the Sikkim Income Tax Manual 1948, all persons engaged in business were subjected to tax irrespective of their origin. Therefore, there was no difference made out between the original inhabitants of Sikkim, namely the Bhutia Lepchas, and the persons of foreign origin settled in Sikkim, like the Nepalis or persons of Indian origin who had settled down in Sikkim generations back. The statement sparked strong sentiments in a state where Nepalis are the majority community apart from Lepchas and Bhutias. Initially, the protests started with a civil society group and a joint action committee was formed. But in the past couple of days, the protests have intensified with the main opposition party, the Sikkim Democratic Front or SDF, joining the protests. SDF's top gun and former Chief Minister Pawan Kumar Chamling has called a 2-day bandh.
भारत सरकारलाई सारा भारतलाई सारा संसारलाई हामीले यो सन्देश दिनुपर्छ हामी सिक्किमको नेपाली विदेशी होइनौं भन्ने प्रमाण दिनुपर्छ हामी सिक्किमे हौ भन्ने प्रमाण दिनुपर्छ र यसको विरुद्धमा यो ब्ल्याक डे कालो दिवस 2 दिन मनाउनुपर्छ सिक्किम पुरा बन्द गर्नुपर्छ
In some stray violence between supporters of the Sikkim Democratic Front and the ruling Sikkim Krantikari Morcha, the SDF office was pelted with stones. Earlier this week, the state's health minister Manikumar Sarma resigned in protest against the government's failure to respond to the court's observation. Now Sikkim Chief Minister Prem Singh Tamang has convened an emergency assembly session on February 9th and his government has filed a review petition in the top court.
हामी विपक्षी पार्टीमा भएर पनि यति शक्तिशाली थियौं त्यति बेला हामीले चाहेको भादेखि हामी 1000 पल्ट पाउन चामलिङको पुतला जलाउन सक्थ्यौं होला 1000 पल्ट एकपल्ट होइन लोकेर होइन शहर बजारको बीचमा जलाउन सक्थ्यौं तर हामीले जलाएनौं किनभने हाम्रो आत्माले हाम्रो आत्मसम्मानले दिँदैन.
While the Supreme Court's verdict in favor of the old settlers was actually welcome, it was the foreign origin observation of the Apex Code that has triggered the outrage. And it is now soon turning into a political fodder for the opposition parties to corner the government. With inputs from Pankaj in Gangtok, in Guwahati, Ratnadeep Chaudhary for NDTV.
And the Meghalaya Chief Minister and the National People's Party's National President Conrad Sangma on Saturday filed his nomination papers for the upcoming Meghalaya Assembly polls slated for the 27th of February. Prior to the filing of his nomination, the NPP chief visited the grave of his late father, the former Chief Minister P.A. Sangma in Thura, to seek his blessings. Mr. Sangma claims the MPP is heading for an absolute majority. He is seeking re-election from South Thura.
There is a positive wave for the National People's Party, and the opposition is seen to disintegrate day by day. And hence, in that political scenario, I see the trend that NPP is heading towards getting an absolute majority, and we're confident that we will.
With what issues you are moving ahead?
Sorry?
With what issues you are moving ahead?
We are moving ahead with the development work that we have done in the last 5 years, and overall the kind of work that has happened in the different sectors that is there, and the fact that now that the foundation has been laid, that it is time to take things forward now to the next level, and the continuity is important to ensure that we're able to achieve those goals that we have in the future.
And veteran playback singer Vani Jairam has passed away. The 78-year-old singer was found dead at her apartment in Chennai. Reports from those close to her suggest she might have slipped and suffered a fall. On Republic Day this year, she was announced as a recipient for the Padma Bhushan Award for her over 50 years of contribution to Indian music. However, Jairam passed away before she could accept the prestigious award. The national best playback female singer, besides receiving state awards in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Maharashtra, Gujarat and Odisha. After 50 years of working in the film industry, she has worked with several musicians across the country. We're going to go in for a short break. There's more coming up in the sports news. Finally, now preparations and training are on in full swing for the Indian Derby, the country's richest race to be played from Sunday. A prize money of about 2 crore rupees has been fixed for this Derby that will be played at the Mahalakshmi Racecourse in Mumbai.
After practicing for hours on the racetrack, these horses are now taking a swim. The horses are being prepared for the Indian Derby to be held at the Mahalakshmi Racecourse in Mumbai from Sunday. Along with the horses, their jockeys, who have won many titles across the country, are also practicing.
मैं 1000 रेस जीता हूँ अब तक. ये तो सबका ड्रीम रहता है इंडियन डर्बी जीतने का, और ये सबसे इंडिया का सबसे बेस्ट बड़ा रेस है, और उसमें से मेरा भी चाइल्डहुड ड्रीम था जॉकी बनने का और इंडियन डर्बी जीतने का. और अभी ये प्लेटफॉर्म पे मैं पहुंच गया हूँ कि मैं इंडियन डर्बी का बेस्ट पिक, जो फर्स्ट 4 पिक जो रहते बेस्ट घोड़े, उसमें से मैं पिक कर सकता हूँ. तो उसमें से एक घोड़ा है वंसू गो ब्लैक.
मैं तो एटलीस्ट 22 ईयर से वेट कर रहा हूँ कि कब मुझे चांस मिले रेस जीतने का. बस सो ये एक प्रेस्टिजियस रेस है, और जो भी जॉकी ये रेस जीतता है या ट्रेनर या ओनर, उनके लिए एक बहुत बड़ी बात होती है कि उनका लाइफ का एक अचीवमेंट होता है.
Around 19 premium horses will run in this race with a prize money of around 2 crore rupees. Along with the jockeys, the trainers are also busy preparing for the race day and night. Parvati Bairam ji is the only female trainer to participate in this year's Indian Derby.
All the horses that are here have earned their right to be in this race because they are superstars in their own right. It is a long distance race. It is a 2,400 meter race, so you have to train your horse to be able to stay.
Former Indian jockey champion Pacey Shroff, who has won around 29 derbies, hopes the speculation over the race course being shifted about 35 kilometers away to the Mulund dumping ground is not correct.
Well, Mumbai racecourse has remained an open space for everyone to enjoy, and this is the only place where you can come, exercise and also see horses exercising. It has a completely, I think it's in the heart of every Mumbaiker to have the Mumbai racecourse here.
With the guaranteed stake of 2 crore rupees on offer, the countdown for the Indian Derby has begun. And on Sunday, premium horses and their skilled jockey will compete at this Mahalakshmi Racecourse and aim to win the Indian Derby. In Mumbai, with camera person Praveen Jirohit, Sohit Mishra, NDTV.